Hey there, it's Strutter, and today is the 3rd day of June 2013. This video is going to be about the silver market, various data that's been released recently by the Canadian Mint and the US Mint, and my analysis and comments on that, up to and including the end of May. And before I get into that, I just wanted to show the silver chart here. Obviously the drop from 28 to 22 that we had, and we've been trading in a fairly tight range ever since then. It's gone up to almost 25 and down to almost 20, but in the past couple of weeks really hasn't moved from the $22.50 range. It's trading incredibly tightly between 22 and 23 over the past looks like half a month. I'll start off by talking about the US Mint's Silver Eagles sales data. It was just updated at the end of May. Well, actually it wasn't updated at the end of May. This is the final number from a couple of days before the end of May. Unfortunately, they didn't update the site until June 1st and put a bunch of May's data onto June 1st's numbers. How do we know that? Well, you can scroll down and see. June 1st they added 583,000 ounces of silver to their data. So that was actually, that number was there yesterday on June 2nd. So let's say, let's extrapolate that out and see what that would be for the month of June. If 2 of the 30 days in June are accounted for, that means we can multiply this number by 15. 583,500 times 15. So if the pace continues for June, we will have a record number of 8.75 million ounces in June. And that is an unheard of number. Not even the January number, which came to 7.5 million, matches up to that. And that is indeed the all-time record high for any month in the last 27 years since the beginning of time for these coins. So we know that this number is not correct. This is not, can't be happening. And you know, the Mint has done this a couple of times in the past. One this year, most notably, would be the March numbers. The March numbers were very, very close to breaking the all-time record for a March. January was an all-time record. February was an all-time record. But March, though, they moved some of the data over to April 1st. And March was therefore just shy of being an all-time record. April was definitely an all-time record, and May was very, very close to an all-time record with 3.46 million ounces sold, and that compares quite favorably to the 3.65 million ounces sold in May of 2011. So we were not quite the best May ever, unless you consider the actual data, which means that we did have an all-time record March, and we did have an all-time record May. We have had an all-time record January, February, March, April, and May so far this year. And now with this bonus 583,000 added into June, we are certainly going to have a record June as well. We can throw that data onto the chart that you may have seen me using in the past. This measures the record Januaries, record Februaries, Marches, and so forth throughout the past 27 years. And then we overlay on the green there the 2013 data as it becomes available. So up to and including May we've got now. And as you can see here, we just barely went below the record here in March, where they fudged the data on April 1st, and just below here again for May when they fudged the data for June 1st. But it doesn't really matter one way or the other. We can see that we are either at or above all the previous records throughout history. And then we can go over to this chart here. Ignoring at first these two different colored bars on the right hand side, just paying attention to here, 2000 to 2012. This is 2012 here, and this is 2013 as it stands right now. We've got about 42% of the year under our belts, and now we have obviously the 5th best year in history. 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012 were better years than 2013 if 2013 ended today. Of course, we're only 42% of the year done, so I have these two different estimations, estimation A and estimation B, reach different ways, but just sort of to draw attention to the fact that we are going to be above the all-time record, which was set in 2011 when silver prices peaked. It does look like we're going to make it above that for 2013, no matter what happens with sales for the rest of the year. So that's pretty striking. If you've been watching my videos over the past few months where I've been getting into this data analysis of mint numbers that come out, you'll agree with me that this is something that we haven't seen before. And you may also agree with me that this is probably not something that can continue forever, with demand making new records all the time, and yet the price continuing to drop and drop and drop through the floor. Markets don't really work that way in real life. Sometimes they do for a short time, but I don't think this can go for too much longer. It can't go forever, that is 100% for sure. How long can it go for? I guess we're going to find out. I don't think they're going to let the price come up, so we are going to watch this divergence grow and grow. By the way, the actual divergence chart I will be doing probably Wednesday or Thursday, so stay tuned to the channel for that. I'll have that full January through May update for the divergence chart, and also have some other information. But for now, just one more item before I go. I've briefly talked about the Royal Canadian Mint sales data in the past. I don't find it to be as useful because they only update every 3 months or so, and they don't update until several months after the time period has passed, whereas opposed to the US Mint's numbers I can look at and refresh every day, and a couple of times a week at least they've updated their numbers. So the Royal Canadian Mint's numbers are not as useful for that, as well as this isn't a product that everyone recognizes around the world. It's not the silver bullion product. The maple is certainly very popular, but the eagle is more popular and is sold in greater quantities, so I just figure it's a lot more useful to follow the US Mint's data on this stuff. But I did have a look at this thanks to Moneybags73 for mentioning that this quarterly report was out. So I've had a look through it, and I just wanted to summarize a few things that I found in here. They mentioned that their profits are up 25% over the same period last year. I find that to be a pretty good number. I don't know if any of you have had raises in the past years, but it certainly hasn't been a raise of 25%. And it certainly isn't a raise of 25% on top of the 25% you got last year and the year before, and compounding and so forth. They're doing well. They're making big profits off of bullion, they mentioned. They said that despite the lower prices, the bullion is selling like hotcakes. So yes, the Royal Canadian Mint is not able to hide that fact either, if they would want to or not. And they're losing a little bit due to less coinage being used around the world. So especially in Canada, where we've gotten rid of the penny, working on getting rid of the rest and going to a completely cashless society. Unfortunately, that seems like where we're going. I don't want to go there, but we are. And yeah, the Mint mentioned, we're not making as much off of minting pennies and minting coins because that was profitable for us, but we're making less coins now, so I don't know, it's just something to mention. They did mention that the 20 for 20 succeeded in bringing a lot more numismatic collectors, I think they call them, people who like to buy coins that say, for example, that they're worth $50, but of course no one will accept them for that $50, or $20, or $100, like the new 100 for 100. These numismatics are just a money-making scheme by the Mint, and they mentioned that they're doing quite well, and that the 20 for 20 program has certainly brought in a lot more interest into their coinage, where they're pretty much just putting a $100 price tag on a piece of steel that's worth nothing, and saying that it's rare, and that people should collect it. Oh, anyhow, I'm going to analyze the data that's below in here. They put some data and stuff. I will analyze that in a different video, but the last thing I wanted to mention about this one here is in their sort of summary, they say the Mint cannot predict trends in the precious metals markets. Of course. Can anyone? But while global economic uncertainty persists, interesting, it does expect the robust performance of the bullion, refinery, and ETR business to continue. So they are expecting the bullion sales, the silver maple leafs sales, to continue to break records and to do extremely well, despite the lagging precious metals prices. Interesting that the mint would say that they expect silver maples to continue to do really, really well, even though the price of silver has gone down. That's kind of telling, that's kind of interesting. I'll leave you to determine what that may or may not mean. And moving right along. Here's the new $5 and $10 notes from Canada. I don't have too much to say about it. Currency, I think, is nonsense. This isn't real money. But this is a coupon that we use in this country to indicate that the person has done some work in the system and deserves to eat and pay their rent. So this is what a 10 looks like, and this is what a 5 looks like now in Canada, coming out soon. And lastly, I mentioned in my previous video that I'm trying to sell this PowerShot Canon 110HS camera. It's new in the box. I just took it out, used it once, and realized it wasn't the right camera. So I have the original receipt and all the stuff that came with it. So see my previous video if you happen to be interested in that, and then just drop me a message either here or in the link on that last video. Okay, talk to you guys soon.